Hello, hello, everyone. Howdy, and welcome back to another episode. How are you doing? Kevin Blanco here, Senior Developer Relations Advocate here at Appsmith, and your trusty guide to unlocking the potential of internal enterprise apps. If you're hearing me well, let me know in the chat. If you're not hearing me well, also let me know in the chat so I can control all everything working here. Please let us know in the chat where are you tuning in and what are you working on. Whether it is an AppSmith app or not, I'd like to know what technologies and stacks are you working on your day to day so we can create more content that is appealing to you. So let me know if you're a backend developer, front-end developer, a cloud engineer, exactly what are you working on? I'd like to know that way I can connect better with you. Thank you so much, Oscar. It's good to know that you're hearing me well. And congratulations, by the way, Oscar, on winning the January release contest. Your productivity template was amazing, by the way. So I wanted to remind you, everyone, that in case you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, because today we are going to showcase a high level of new features. And during the following days, I will be publishing more in depth series and trainings videos for these features. So that is why I encourage you to subscribe right now in case you haven't. Also, share with your friends and colleagues. Share this live stream and also all of the videos that we're going to be sharing. Share those with your colleagues. I also wanted to remind you that we have a monthly contest. This month topic is AI. So last month topic was productivity, which Oscar won, and this month is AI, artificial intelligence. And I really like all of you to participate. And it's super easy to do it. All you have to do is submit your template in our community portal, and that's pretty much it. You will be participating. As long as your template uses AI in any shape or form, you're participating. Also, today's announcement on Appsmith AI will definitely help you on some ideas for templates to participate, contribute back, and also win exclusive swag. So we're completely live here. Let's take a look at the topics that we're going to be talking about. So, yeah, the February release gem. Turns out thousands of teams uses Appsmith low-code application platform to quickly build, deploy, and manage effective software with enterprise-grade security and governance. And today Release Jam is a demonstration of how Appsmith continues to grow, evolve, and confirm this statement. This is why more than 1 million users across 150 countries use Appsmith daily, enabling enterprises to develop, deploy, and launch solutions 10 times faster. So that's why we have people connecting from all over the place. We have people from Latin America, from Abu Dhabi, from India, from Asia, from United States, from Europe. Appsmith is a global product. So definitely what we're going to be learning today is a statement of our commitment to continue to grow our platform. So our agenda for today is, first of all, we're going to officially launch custom widgets on all Appsmith versions, both cloud and self-hosted, so you can write custom logic, bring your own libraries, and create entirely new widgets tailored for your needs. Second, we will be talking about Appsmith AI on all Appsmith versions as well, cloud and self-hosted, so you can build intelligent applications, iterating faster without the need of any external service or API, making this definitely data-driven decisions on your companies. Also, we'll talk a little bit at a glance about the UI navigations enhancements so you can reduce cognitive load and context switching. And last but not least, if times allows also, I will go over a feature on Appsmith Enterprise Edition because we are launching continuous delivery for your Appsmith Git repositories so you can automate deployments, pipelines, and builds. Everything without leaving Appsmith at all. You will be able to control your Git repository, continuous deployments, merging, everything happens on Appsmith Enterprise Edition. So let's go to the first topic, which is custom widgets. I know that a week ago, well, a couple of weeks ago, Joseph did a small live coding event with Mukun. Well, that wasn't small, actually. It was a huge application, by the way. It was a Gantt chart. And he sneak peek on custom widgets. But today we are officially launching custom widgets because it's available to everyone that uses Appsmith, not only on the cloud version, but on all of the versions. So let's take a glimpse of what custom widgets are. Development is about freedom, the freedom to build, create, and innovate. But many low-code platforms restrict that freedom, limiting developers' ability to build and fully control their apps. Until now. Appsmith is proud to introduce custom widgets, unlocking unlimited potential for developers. Now you can write custom logic, bring your own libraries, and create entirely new widgets tailored to your needs. Collaborate with your team by building reusable components that supercharge your workflows. Take control of your code and build exactly what you imagine. Appsmith custom widgets deliver the flexibility and extensibility developers demand. Experience the freedom to create powerful apps your way. The future is yours to define. Now that was awesome, right? You probably didn't expect to see me without the glasses, right? Probably one of the first times you see my eyes. Yeah, custom widgets are officially here. And I have a demo here prepared so I can show you how it works, all of the basic things you need to learn about custom widgets. For example, the data model, how to use React, how to use Vue, how to use Vanilla.js. So let me bring that demo up, so you can take a look at it. And here it is. All right, let's understand how custom widgets works. Let's create a new empty application where I'm going to also create a new empty custom widget. You can find the custom widgets under the UI tab here on the left, and you can easily find it by just typing custom. And you will see that it's under the display section. Let's drag and drop our first custom widget. And by default, Appsmith will normally showcase a sample custom widget. In this case, it's a carousel of tips. You can see that as you click on the next tip, it will scroll through all of the tips. But we're going to delete this to create a custom widget so you can understand all of the different capabilities and sections of a custom widget. The first thing on the right, it seems that the screen is black. That's what I'm getting from Oscar. Thank you, Oscar, on the chat. So let me see if I can, maybe I shared incorrectly what I wanted to share. So let's give it another shot right now and let me know in the chat if you're able to see this, okay? All right, let's understand how custom widgets works. Let's create a new empty application where I'm going to also create a new empty custom widget. You can find the custom widgets under the UI tab here on the left, and you can easily find it by just typing custom. And you will see that it's under the display section. Let's drag and drop our first custom widget. And by default, Appsmith will normally showcase a sample custom widget. In this case, it's a carousel of tips. You can see that as you click on the next tip, it will scroll through all of the tips. But we're going to delete this to create a custom widget so you can understand all of the different capabilities and sections of a custom widget. The first thing on the right, you will notice a new button. Normally here on the right, you see all of the properties of any widget. But for the sake of the custom widget, there is a very specific function, which is the source. There you will be able to edit the JavaScript, the HTML, the CSS of this custom widget. Also, one thing you will see is the default model. The model is how you pass data to the custom widget. And also from the custom widget, you can update the data model. In this case, you can pass it in multiple ways. The first thing is, like the example, in a hard-coded way. You can pass, in this case, for example, we have an object and an array of tips, which is what actually we're seeing here on the custom widget. You can also pass dynamic data from JavaScript, dynamic data from data sources. So this is a very powerful mechanism to pass data to your widget. Again, for the sake of this demo, we're going to delete this. And also let's go to the source so we can understand the structure of it. As you can see, this is a very standard editing experience, very similar to CodePen or GSFiddle, where you have your HTML, your CSS, and your JavaScript. We also provide some templates out of the box, for example, for Vanilla.js, React, and Vue. So for example, if we replace here with Vanilla.js, we have the same custom widget functionality of the carousel, but it uses pure vanilla JavaScript. So again, I'm going to just use the React example, which is one of the most used libraries out there. And I'm just going to delete everything that we have here so we can build it from scratch. Now that we have everything empty, let's create our model. In this case, what I'm going to show you is how you can use React and a React plugin for image carousel to showcase a carousel of images. So what I'm going to do is the same thing. I'm going to pass hard-coded data, which again, it could be from a data source or from JavaScript. And in this data, we only have 3 URLs of images. That's how we're going to be building our carousel. Now let's go back to our editor, and the first thing we're going to be doing is defining the structure of our HTML. Now this is going to be fairly simple because React normally only requires the ID, the div where the application is going to be injected, and here you can also bring CSS and JavaScript from external libraries. Here what I'm bringing is the external CSS of the image gallery that I'm going to be using. This CSS is going to give format to my carousel of images, and that's all I need. Now let's go to the JavaScript section, and this is where probably we're going to spend most of our time. First thing we're going to need is define our imports. This is just as importing any other JavaScript library in your day-to-day development workflow. As you can see, I'm importing React, React DOM, and the image gallery plugin, which basically allows me to create image galleries with React. Those are the only 3 things that I need for this sample, but you can bring as many as imports that you need for your application. Now, the second thing we're going to need is very standard, is the app function. This is something very standard in a React application. And here is where we're going to be defining our application code, as well returning our piece of HTML. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is grabbing the information from the model into this actual React application. And the way I'm going to do this is very simple. All I'm going to do is define the structure that the image gallery component requires to pass the data along. In this case, I'm going to be grabbing the images from the data model. Okay, so how do we do that? How do we get the data from the model? It's very simple. Appsmith provides something called appsmith.model, and that is going to have the information of our model. In this case, remember that we created a data object, a data array of images. So now all we have to do is just pretty much define a constant, which is going to be the image URLs. And that's going to be the thing that we're going to be passing in this map function. So we're going to iterate through all of these image URLs, and we're going to return the structure of the original and the thumbnail. And that's basically the structure that the image carousel requires to render a new image gallery. Now let's return that image gallery. The first thing, as you can see, is we're returning the image gallery component that as the default component behavior. The items are going to be the images, which we actually define here. And then show index is basically a way to show in which index of the carousel we are at. Now, how do we tell Appsmith to render this component? This is one of the also very important pieces. All we have to do is call Appsmith onReady. This event is basically going to trigger when Appsmith is ready to render our component. And here we can pass parameters, and we can also pass different information. For now, we're just going to leave it empty, and we're going to do an array function. And here what we're going to do is basically render our React application using React DOM. So all we have to do is React on that render, and we will pass along the app, which is our function that we have here. And the second parameter is where React is going to be rendering this application, which is going to be on the root element, which is this one right here. So as you can see that as soon as I implemented the Appsmith onReady event, we can now see our component, which is actually using the image gallery component and is rendering the image gallery and is fully functional. We now have a fully functional component custom widget using React and image gallery. Now, the second thing I wanted to show you is how easy it is to define events. Any component can define events, and it's fairly simple. An event can be a response to something that happens on the application. For example, in this case, I can respond to the event on slide when people are sliding throughout the carousel of images. And the way I do that is super simple. All I have to do is here on my application, define a new function. And this function is basically going to receive parameters and do something. What are we going to be doing here? So the first thing is that we can call the same reserved word, which is Appsmith, that trigger event. The trigger event is how we tell Appsmith, hey, I'm triggering this event, and I can define whatever name I want for that specific trigger. And then I can also do other things, like, for example, update the model. Remember that I mentioned at the beginning that you can grab the information from the model into your widget, like we did here, but you can also do it backwards. You can send data from your widget code into the data model. And the cool thing is that you can read that information on any other widget. For example, I'm going to show you how we can read data from the custom widget model that we sent from the custom widget into another widget. And that's how we do it, just using the update model. So what we're doing here is basically passing a new object saying, hey, this is the selected index that we're at right now, and passing the index parameter. The index is basically where we are at the carousel. So for example, in the first one is going to be 0, the second one 1, and the third one is going to be 2, and so on and so forth. It's basically the index of the carousel. So as you can see, that's all we had to do to define a new trigger event. So now if we go back to our application, we will see that we can define an action to this event that we trigger from the code. So as you can see, we named it on slide. So we can actually grab the name of this event that we triggered manually and create a new event here on the events section. And we're going to name it on slide, because that's the same name that we triggered on the code. And for this trigger, we can define actions, for example, showcase a new model or do whatever you want. In this case, I'm going to be adding, just for the sake of testing, showing a alert. And this alert is going to be a success, trigger it from the code. So every time that event is triggered on the code, this is going to be shown. So how do we bind this to our image gallery? So all we have to do is define the onSlide method, which this is something purely from the image gallery component. This is not something from Appsmith. And basically the image gallery can accept an onSlide method, and that onSlide method is going to trigger this function that we have here. And that function is the one that we have here, which is going to trigger the onSlide event and update the Appsmith bundle. So let's actually take a look at it. Let's deploy our application. And now whenever we trigger this, as you can see, whenever we are sliding throughout the carousel, we can see that the message is being shown because the code triggers the event and the event has an action attached to it. Also, the model is being updated. So how do we know that? Remember that we, in our code, we call this update model with the selected index name. So we could actually do something like create a new widget, text widget. And in this text widget, what I'm going to be rendering is our custom widget, which name is custom1 dot model, and the name, which is selected index. Yep, here it is. That's the name that we put it, selected index. So let's deploy our application and see if it actually works. There you go. As you can see here on the text widget, we have 0, 1, 2, because that's the index of the image carousel changing. And also, as you can see, the model is being triggered on each slide event. So what I should show you is a very simple custom widget that uses React and an image gallery React library and actually can interact with the end user, reading the data model, creating methods, send it back data to the Appsmith model, and also triggering custom events. There you go. So that was the first demo I wanted to show you. And I'd like to know on the chat, what are your thoughts about custom widgets? For me specifically, coming from a background on front-end development, like being able to actually use React or Vue or any JavaScript library, because you saw that we're able to import any JavaScript library. Like if you want to use Angular, you can also use Angular. So literally the world is open for you to build whatever you want. And we didn't go into other things like, for example, the CSS or more complex examples. So in the upcoming days, we will be sharing more videos in our YouTube, more tutorials, and I'm going to be explaining in depth how you can create more and more custom widgets. Before we move on to the next topic, I wanted to highlight one of the comments that I got on the chat from Avnish, who is joining from India and is actively using Appsmith since the last 4 months. And for him, this is a total game changer for him and his organization. So we're definitely happy to hear that. Um, so that's custom widgets where I want to elaborate for now because we have other topics. But again, subscribe to the channel, stay tuned because we're going to be creating a series of videos because I want you to be the master on custom widgets and understand how it actually works. So the next topic on the agenda that we had, apart from custom widgets, is Appsmith AI. Before I explain a little bit about Appsmith AI, I wanted to let you know that next week, that means from today in the next week, Thursday, February the 15th, we're going to be having a formal introduction to Appsmith AI. And actually, we're going to be having our co-founder, sorry, Abhishek, and also our CTO, Arpit, with another guest talking about Appsmith AI. So today is going to be more of a general understanding of Appsmith AI, but next week I want you to join and also learn in more depth about Appsmith AI, not only about the actual feature, but also the value that brings to your organization. Also, now that I'm going to be sharing my screen and explaining it to you, I want you to see some of the enhancements that we are going to be having in our UI layout. This to increase your productivity and avoid context switching. So with that said, let me share my screen. Let me share my entire window that I have here. All right, so here I have the application that I was working on. Let me zoom in a little bit and let's create a new application. This is completely from scratch, as you can see. And the first thing I wanted to show you is what I was mentioning about the enhancements on the UI. Before, jumping between queries, JavaScript, and the UI was a bit of a pain. And we heard your feedback, and we have been working on a new and a brand new navigation system. This is part of the changes that we have been doing, but in the next weeks, we're going to be actually unveiling a new design system and navigation system for building applications, which is a way bigger change than what I'm going to be showing you right now. But as you can see now, we have here on the left, and let me zoom in a little bit further, the UI where you can just work out your widgets and everything specifically to the UI, then the JavaScript where you can build your JavaScript objects, and then the queries. So it's easier to switch between those, reducing the cognitive load. And believe me, when you're building an application that has tons of queries, several JavaScript files, and a lot of pages, this comes really handy. All right, back to Appsmith AI. So now you go to the data section, you will see that if you create a new data source and if you go to the AI integrations, you will see that now we have Appsmith AI. We still have OpenAI, Google AI, Anthropic, which we have a lot of tutorials in our YouTube channel. But now Appsmith AI is a complete new data source for you, which you don't need any extra API key, any extra service. You just select Appsmith AI, and from there you will be able to create queries. One thing you can do is upload files. And these upload files, you can upload any type of files that will give context to this data source. Now, this is not mandatory. Also, not all of the queries that we're going to be building are against these files, but it's super useful. For example, if you want to Appsmith AI to learn about certain topics and certain information about your company or your product or what have you, this is where you will inject some of that information. Actually, let me cancel this because I already have one here. And this one right here, what it has is a rental agreement. So for the examples I'm going to show you, I might or might not use this rental agreement PDF, which is just, a very standard rental agreement. So now that we have fed our data source with information, we can go back to our editor, to the queries tab, and create a new query based upon the data source that we created. And from there, we can define any type of action. And like I said, I'm going to be creating and publishing more and more videos about all of the actions that you can find here, because each of these are a huge topic. Like each of these are a whole topic itself. But like I said, as you will be able to see, you not need to enter any API key, any type of training, anything. You will just define the action you want, give the parameters, and it's going to work. The first one is super simple, which is generate text. And we can, like I said, pass contextual files to it. Again, not mandatory, but if you want, you can pass the rental agreement, which we uploaded and Appsmith AI learned about it. And now we can ask questions to it. So I don't know, maybe I can ask something like, what's the I don't know, the rules around having a pet. And as you can see, we have the response: pets are allowed only with landlord's permission, and etc. It's going to give us the exact answer on this rental agreement based upon what we are asking. Obviously, as any other Appsmith query, you can pass data from data binding. So what you could do is, on your UI here, create a new widget, maybe create an input for people to enter their question, and then you can pass along that new input that we just created here and make it dynamic. Also, you can execute this on a given event, so you can just name it here question, and then you can in the UI create a new widget, for example a button, and respond or trigger that on a click event. Can execute the query, execute the question, and that will be it. So super simple. In just a matter of seconds, we were able to create it. Now, other thing that our team has been doing for you is giving you examples. So this is great because for every action that we have available, we can give you a actionable example that you can try it out without having to bring anything into the table. So let's, for example, bring the classified text. Let's, for example, use one of the examples that we have, customer support. We have this customer support message example here, which again, this could be a customer support message from your system, from your database, that you can classify. And here we pass the labels that we want to classify. It could be technical. Is it urgent? Is it around billing or accounting, about upgrades? Or is it a bug, or is related to a refund? This is the labels that I want Appsmith AI to classify about this text. And I can even give additional instructions saying, if no labels fits the input, please apply general label. And I can run it. And again, here you can see that Appsmith AI super quickly is able to analyze and label what this message is about. And it's about a technical issue, and it's super urgent. And as you can see, it's extremely fast. Again, you can bind this here, this input, to any widget, to any query. Like literally, you can pass any data into this. Summarize text. That's another example that we can use to summarize text, extract entities from text. That's also super useful when you want, for example, again, from a customer support chat. Let's say I want to extract from this message what the name of the person is, the address, the account, the number, and the gender of the message of the person that is contacting us. And we can run it and see also the response. And as you will be able to see from the text, we will be able to extract who the name is Mark. That person address is this one, the account number is this one, and the gender seems to be not found. Uh, One of the examples that I believe that I really wanted to show you in this call is around images, because we're able to classify images, describe images, and extract entities from images. Again, I will be creating more videos around these topics, but one of the clear examples that I wanted to show you is, let's say that we have this driver license here. This is a sample driver license that is an image. It has information about a given user. And again, we can pass data into this field. For example, if we have an image widget, we can just pass whatever image widget or file upload widget that we have in our UI. We can pass base64 data or the actual image into it. But for now, we're going to leave the example image that we have here. And I want to extract certain entities from this image: the name, the date of the birth, the gender, license number, and the height. So if we run that, is going to basically go to the image, analyze that driver license image, and extract all of that information. And as you can see here, we have the name, which is Alicia James, the date of birth, the gender, the license number, and the height. So this is extremely powerful. As you can see, it's super fast, and you do not need any other AI service to start using Appsmith AI on your application. You can start today because Appsmith AI is available on all versions, and you can give it a shot right now if you're using Appsmith. I encourage you to take a look at it. And also, if you have feedback, let us know on Discord or the community portal, and I'll be more than happy. Or you have questions on how it works, I'll be more than happy to create tutorials and more content for you, because I really want you to excel at using Appsmith AI. If you have any questions right now, put it on the chat, and I'll be more than happy to answer that question on the chat. What do you guys think? This is really powerful, right? Awesome. So you just saw, first of all, the navigation updates, the UI enhancements, and you understood what AppSmith AI is, how you can bring the data source, how you can use all of the different actions that you have available, and you can bind any data coming from the UI or from JavaScript or from another data source into the AppSmith AI query. So that's extremely powerful right over there. So let's go back to our topics. Let me stop sharing my screen for now, because we just learned AppSmith AI, and now we can jump to our last topic, which is focus on AppSmith Enterprise Edition. Now, this feature I'm going to show you is only available on AppSmith Enterprise Edition, which is Git continuous delivery. Without leaving Appsmith, now you will be able to create delivery pipelines that executes automatically based upon responses to Git changes, for example, a push to a new branch or a pull request being approved, etc. So everything can be done without actually leaving Appsmith. So let me share my screen again and show you a glimpse of what it is. So I have this instance which is running Appsmith EE. I just started it. Let's see if it takes a couple of minutes probably. But in the meantime, while that happens, I wanted to show you that Appsmith Git actually is available to you on any Appsmith version. Like, it's only the continuous delivery feature that's going to be available on Appsmith Enterprise Edition, but you can bind or connect any Appsmith application to a Git repository in any flavor. Right? You can actually do it right now. We could do it here in this application that we were doing. All you have to do is come here and connect to Git. But the feature is for Appsmith Enterprise Edition. Let's create a new app. Here, this is Appsmith Enterprise Edition that we have running. And after you create the app, you will be able to connect to your Git repository. I have this empty Git repository. It's public on my GitHub repository. I'm just going to copy the URL of this repo and connect here. So it's going to help us to understand how we connect Git. Now, this is super powerful because it means that you can put your Appsmith application into source code. That's extremely powerful over there. You can, for example, create testing pipelines and many other things, as any uh, respected product will probably need to have code on source code from a security standpoint, from a control standpoint. So this is a game changer, obviously. So this is the provider I'm going to choose. We can use GitLab, Bitbucket, and others. I have an existing repo. Yes. I'm going to paste the URL of my repository. And then Appsmith is going to generate an SSH key, which I need to give access in our repo. So let's go to the settings, and on the left, you will find deploy keys. Let's create a new deploy key. Let's paste the deploy key that Appsmith gave us, and it's important that we allow write access. This checkbox here is important because Appsmith is going to be actually writing to the server. Let me use my password very quickly. And we confirm the access. Now we can confirm to Appsmith that yes, we gave access. We basically also give it the right permissions, and now we can connect the Git. I see a question from Oscar. Let's take a look at it while this happens. Oscar is saying, for the self-hosted version, where is the AI located? In the server or in the cloud? We can use our own private data. So if the execution of Appsmith AI is going to happen on your server, like if you're self-hosting Appsmith, the analysis is going to happen on the self-hosted on your version. So you can be sure that the analysis of your data, if you're using a self-hosted version that access private data that is only available to you, you can be sure that's not going to be analyzed on an external server or access it or store for any of our servers. But if you have more concerns about security and how Appsmith AI works, definitely we can elaborate further on this topic on Discord or the community portal. And I can also create another video specifically around security. So as you can see now, successfully connected to our Git repository, and we can see the Git settings. The first thing you will see is the auto commit. You can enable or disable auto commit, which is super useful. You're working on your app, you are adding widgets, data sources, and you can enable auto commit. So that way everything is going to be saved automatically on your branch, or you can disable if you think that's not something that you want to do. Also, we have information about the branch. Normally, we have a default branch. This is the default production version of your app. Normally, it's master, and always you want to protect that branch. It means that nobody will be able to push to this branch directly. Only it's going to be via a pull request based upon some approvals. Like, this is a very standard security procedure for formal companies, and we know that. So that's why we're sticking to this, CO2 approach. But you can also change that. You can change to whatever default master branch and to whatever branch protection branch is going to be. So since I cannot do anything on the master branch, let's create a new branch. I'm just going to create a stage branch from the master branch. And again, without leaving Appsmith, I can control my Git repository. So I just changed to my the stage branch, and here I will be able to do things because I couldn't do anything. If you saw on the master branch, I couldn't do anything, but here I will be able to do something. So let me create a new text widget here, and I can actually commit these changes to the server, and it's going to be committed to the stage branch again without leaving Appsmith at all, and everything is going to be automatically in sync with our GitHub repository. As you can see now, we have the stage branch over here. Now, going back to the topic that we care, all of this that I just showed you is available on any Appsmith version, completely available. The being able to switch between branches, create branches, define what the master branch is going to be or the default branch, that you can do all of that, but not the continuous delivery, which I'm going to show you, which is super, extremely powerful. Let me just put an example here. Commit and push, so we can push some changes to the stage branch we just created. Also, another cool stuff is that we can actually merge from here. You can merge a stage into master if you want. Oh no, not into master because it's the protected branch, but you can merge stage into any other branch that is not the protected branch, which obviously we don't want to be able to merge into it directly. So now that we have that, we can go to our settings and go to the continuous delivery, and from here we can create our continuous delivery pipeline. So the first thing is, which branch do we want to set up? In this case, I don't want to do master, or maybe I do want to do master, but for the sake of this demo, I want to do a stage. And what Appsmith is going to give us is a curl request that we can execute to create the continuous delivery to the pipe to the branch that we just selected. So what we can do is basically copy this, then generate a new barrier token, which we're going to need to pass here in the header. And using any continuous delivery tool of your choice, it could be GitHub Actions, for example, or any other, you can start configuring your continuous delivery to the Appsmith repository and your Appsmith application. So one example I have here, because it's a very simple tool to use, is called Bodyworks. I don't know if you have used it before, but it's like GitHub Actions. It's just a delivery pipeline tool that I'm going to use for as an example. I have connected to my repository that we have on GitHub. I'm just going to give it a name, example, very basic event, and we're going to be based upon the stage branch because that's the branch that we're going to be triggering the automated script. Now let's add our pipeline and we can define what action is going to happen on this pipeline. We could do anything here, but just for the sake of testing, just a local shell. And here I'm going to define what's going to happen when this triggers. So what this means is whenever there is a commit to the stage branch, this trigger is going to happen, and we are going to connect this to Appsmith using the continuous delivery option that we just saw. So I'm going to be using just the curl example that we grabbed from Appsmith. Let me copy it. And we need to put the header, the token header. So let me copy that as well and change it here. And the other thing I need to do is this shell doesn't actually have curl, which is interesting. So I'm just going to actually install curl before we run the actual curl command. So that should be it. Let's add this action and we should be able to run this. So what this is going to do is like I show you, we're going to be using the Ubuntu image. We're going to bring the curl installation, and then we're going to be able to see here at some point that the actual curl command executed. So here it is. It's just finished. Here's the curl request. It was successful, sent the curl request, and is finished successfully. So that means that now we can go back and confirm that this is working. The setup is done. Now it's enabled. If at some point we need to regenerate a new barrier token for any reason, you can do that. Just keep in mind that what's going to happen is the existing token we copied is not going to work. So now what we can do is let's say let's bring a table widget here into the stage branch. Let's commit that change that we just did. Adding a table widget, commit and push to the stage branch. And now that this has happened, we can review first of all on GitHub, and let's switch to the stage branch, and we will be able to see that here's my commit, adding the table widget, and it's actually having a job already attached to it, which if we go to our example pipeline here, we should saw that it runs. Here it is, adding the table widget in the stage branch, and it finished correctly. So that's it. That's how you can easily configure continuous delivery, continuous deployments on Appsmith Enterprise Edition. We just did everything from scratch. It took us like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. That's what it took us. That's extremely amazing. So if you have any further question about this, again, let us know in the chat right now. But we're going to be posting more and more samples in YouTube about how to use this feature. Now, maybe this was too fast for you, but that's fine. I'm going to be posting more videos on a slower pace on how to configure Git, how to configure the branches, how to integrate continuous delivery with other pipelines like GitHub Actions or any other of your choice. Like, for example, Jenkins. I know Jenkins is widely used across multiple teams. And we can do the same we just did, but with Jenkins. So I'm going to be creating more samples of this. So subscribe to our channel. And those are the topics that we had for today. Now, that doesn't mean that this is the only thing we launched over the last month. We have a lot of other features that we just launched, enhancements, bug fixes, and you can see all of that in our GitHub repository and the roadmap. So before we sign off here, I wanted to invite you to do a couple of things. The first thing is, again, subscribe to the YouTube channel, invite other people to this type of events. If you believe that you just learned something today, invite others so they can learn about it, and read all the information in our documentation. You can visit our docs and you will see also information about the custom widgets, about these enterprise edition features, about the enhancements on the UI, and stay tuned for more content like this. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining to this conversation. Stay tuned for more content around these features, and have a great rest of the week and the upcoming weekend. See you next week for the Appsmith AI, and every Thursday I will see you again for another live stream. Stay real, everyone. Bye bye, and thank you so much for joining today.